Hi again, it's Jason from Fraser Valley Rose Farm, and today I'm tackling a drip irrigation project on these beds back here. These are our cut flower beds, and I'm tackling it right now in the cool season, in the wet season, because I don't want to wait until afterwards in the summer when I'm behind a hose and wishing, boy, I wish I'd put drip irrigation in the ground. This will save me a ton of time. The key to getting this done quickly, I think, is planning. So the first thing I've done in that regard is I've got the supplies in hand. I'm going to show you what came in the kit. This is a kit from DripWorks, and I chose them because they come with good instructions, because it's good quality supplies, and it comes with everything I need to get the job done for this size of garden bed, and that they specified that on the website and showed the supplies. So I've done that work in advance. The second thing I'm going to do is show you an overhead view of this garden. I'll get the drone up later and show you this, is that while we have the entrance on the front, and this will be for us working on the farm, but it will also be for visitors to our farm. So I don't want to have the supply lines of the drip irrigation be tripping hazards for us or for them. And I also would like it to be less obtrusive. So I'm entering the garden from the back corner, or hooking it up on the back corner of the garden bed here, and then running supply lines along the back fence there. So that's the plan right now. Let me show you how I lay it out. Okay, well, I have all the parts laid out now, just as I planned them on the map or diagram. And you can see that this is the back corner of the bed, and you have the filter and the hookups to put the main line in. And then it follows along the back of the fence here, just out of the pathway of visitors and customers. And then it has a T right here and a T right here, where it goes to a lateral line or a secondary line that supplies the beds. You can see the main line runs along the back here again, and then splits off in one more place with a T. And with the parts in their rough final position, I pin them in place with the included staples. Okay, so the first three parts that go into this first one is the filter. This is the part that connects to the male end of the hose. Just going to quick unscrew here so you can see that it has this little mesh filter here that filters the water so that you don't end up with little pieces of debris clogging up the drip emitters. And then of course this part down here would allow you to drain the filter and clean the filter. The second piece here is the pressure reducer. So that goes on to the threaded end here, and you can see that it reduces it down to 30 psi. And then the third piece here is the adapter that moves from these threaded connections into the irrigation pipe that you see behind here. With those three pieces installed on the back corner of the fence here, next thing to do is to attach that irrigation pipe. And for that, it just takes a little bit of force to push this onto the adapter, and then take the adapter and you pull down this ring to tighten it onto the flared portion. So now we should have a watertight fit through this section here. Following this, which is the main line heading from those first three hookups, this is where I'm going to hook it up to a T so that it goes back to the raised bed there. So same process. I'm going to push this onto the nipple with a little bit of force, and then push that. And then here, same thing. And then finally, I'm going to rejoin the main line that goes on to the next lateral. Let's have a quick look at the drip tubing here, and you can see there's a little opening there. I hope you can pick that up. That is an automatic dripper, and there's one of those every foot along the length of this drip tubing here. The kit also comes with a bunch of these little staples to staple it in place, and this is how you connect it to the main line. I want to give you a quick look at that, because when I press this down, you can see that a spike goes through, but the spike doesn't go through all the way to the other edge, which means that if you have this around the main tubing, which I'll show you, it punctures the one side, it doesn't puncture the other. So let me show you how to install that. And I have two tubes here, each entering into the line. Here's the supply line right beside the bed here. You can see this one's already hooked in. So I just wanted to demonstrate for you that this punch that I have here, I'm just going to place it so that I can puncture through the top of the supply tube, press that down, Press it down all the way if you want. It leaves a little hole there. Now I take the spaghetti tube, the dripper tube, place one end of the barb on the dripper tube, and use that to push into the supply tube. Easy as that. Here's the whole bed installed, and you can see that the way we've installed it here, there's no more than about a foot between any given dripper line, and that no loop here goes longer than 15 feet as specified by the supplier. In this bed here, of course, we already had our fall flower bulbs in, so we just installed around them. When you've installed the last of your dripper tubes and you get to the end of the supply line, you can kink it back on itself, and in this case they've included clips to hold those in place. I've seen people do the same thing with zap straps, and I'll just have a look at it in action. The spacing of the drippers along the drip line tubing actually matches the distance between the drip lines, and so it actually makes for a nice even grid of water all the way through the bed. And what I like to see is that it's dripping where it should be, but it's not dripping where it shouldn't be. And the last thing you want to see once you install a drip irrigation system is that on the supply line and the fittings that you have all this water coming out. That defeats the purpose. And of course you can see that even after the installation we have a modest amount of leftover supply, because they actually make this a generous amount of irrigation supply for the area we had to cover. Well, that was relatively painless. The whole job was done in about 3 hours, which of course may vary depending on the complexity of your setup and whether you've worked with this stuff before. I actually have, so I didn't have to learn how to use the fittings. It was all pretty straightforward. In any case, it does come with a pretty good set of instructions. I definitely will include the links to DripWorks and the kits that they offer down in the description of the video, along with any other affiliate links or coupon codes that they've decided to offer me with this video. I wanted to also say that in terms of the amount of time that I should be running this for, that's going to be a matter of experience. I haven't set it up on a timer yet. I'm just going to be doing it manually for a while until I can figure out how long it takes to really saturate that soil, and I may have to wait until it's a little bit drier in the season to figure out what is the appropriate run time. All right, if you have any other questions about irrigation, about growing plants, or anything along those lines, go ahead and drop those into the comments below the video and I will see what I can do to help.